It's here for me mobi bia kwaba eba Melodies TV so. Enra em say me ba be ye video efa Godfred Dame ho. Now for people who don't know the story, I'll just give you a brief and then we'll go into the main story today. Because yen say Godfred Dame call CID for hono in seme no kokokan. Now yen say proud to I mean last year Godfred Dame yese watching Grofo mienu atum eye ato forcing ene jakpa ehon na jakpa ba be release audio a ina yete nsem ana Godfred Dame e kan wo audio nim nti this year ena Mr Jakpa na nsia no tron krata koma CID force wo monto nsam frɛ Godfred Dame because we di bone nsem a wo kan wo audio nim no yade bi a etiaga na mra eno nti CID force to nsam frɛ Godfred Dame sɛ wombra na omo MBC bisa nsem no yi ano na enra Godfred Dame kono or the lawyers baako be 70 in edi nechi ekoye me ba be ye ho broadcast America say eye me wan say nde Godfred Dame ne nsem aba no ono akwa sisa lawyers bebrebe say but yet krom ha ye be hwedi ebesi enti no Godfred Dame omo ko CID for office ye di enim di akwa akosi enti ende obebo nsem ni mu atre yen say CID for omo ko mu enim no nsem be no omo de ekokoto dwa enti na nsem no nini na no no na ende our first time as na ye be ko nsem nim na ende our first time subscribe na click the notification bell on so oya ne sa latest news bi aba won sa ebeka na mame nso enkan wo se wutie me na wefuso ana wo dofo bi anefuso a mesrel in the shortest possible time there was oya ne se e wo se wuhu ade ebe ye be masa efuno akofom because nansen efukese ekum Ghana for pa efukese na ma stroke eno ene de diabetes ba akoma yawe ne cancer bebre efukese na de san yawe ne nina no eba nti the best you can do is to say shortest possible time obey ade ebe ma wefuno akofom. Now there is a book no betre wonyama miensa sa nyama miensa no udi super pepe by 1 month you begin to see changes. Eya na nkofo bebre spend sika de goto edro nanso obi a wato edro se wode twi nefu bi anim endra obi frame o kadem se wato edro sa nefu nkofom da ena me se ane efu kese edro bi eni ho ebe ma akofom nti to book ni bi eye just 100 cedis ope book ni bi a number na o screen is no 055 8074986 055-807-4986 free and WhatsApp yen ye bepe book no ni PDF amount ewa WhatsApp and I say ye bepe ni tree video amount link ne so comment box ni mo obetumi click here no so na wenya book no and I say on the screen no icons product no ebe show o click here and so obetumi nya book no na yen consem ni mo o say Jakpa's complaint mo fancha me this word I'm always pronouncing the T asemo adewe ya correct me sa aseme kreni anyway Jakpa's complaint is baseless and malicious. Godfred Dame to CID into Godfred Dame echo CID no or say Richard Jakpa complain na wodi aba no nyansa bi enim ati ase nyansa bi enim bone keke na Jakpa beso odi nyansa bi ani complain nim into no yembongu yankenkan. As a former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfred Dame has categorically denied allegations made by businessman Richard Jakpa, now Director of Special Operations at the National Security Secretariat and the third accused in the controversial ambulance case involving former Majority Leader and current Finance Minister Dr. Keselato Forsen. Also delivering a 50-point statement to the Criminal Investigations Department on Monday, October 6, 2025, Dame described the allegations as baseless, sour grapes, and a desperate ploy to obstruct justice. Also, he dismissed Jakpa's accusations of fabricating evidence in a case titled Republic versus 1. Keselato Forsen, 2. Dr. Sylvester Animena, 3. Richard Jakpa, stating that none of the ingredients of the offense have been made out in the charge against me. Also, according to the former Attorney General, I did not fabricate any evidence led in that criminal trial. Enti Godfred Dame tremwa evidence I say of fabricating and unfabricated evidence via I say, I have not been shown any piece of evidence adduced in the matter, either by the prosecution or the defense, which is alleged to have been fabricated by me. I say, yen evidence be a trese or no, wa fabricate bibi, on fabricate she. He maintained that he never attempted to influence the testimony of Richard Jakpa, and indeed, he was not influenced at all when giving evidence in the case in question. And so I say, no, wanye na adwen say, or wanye na adwen ewo bebiara da say, or katre Jakpa say, onkongo chantro. I mean, even as we all heard. And I mean, yet in someone now air cost will, but I mean, Godfred Dame is claiming say he has what he has here. Well, anyway, no problem. Let's continue to read. I'll say, explaining the legal definition of the alleged offense, Dame stated that the offense of fabrication of evidence entails causing a circumstance to exist, making a false entry in a book, record, an account, or forging a document adduced as evidence at trial, with intent to mislead a judge, jury, or juror, or public officer acting in a judicial capacity. Also, no act of mine borders on anything that would constitute fabrication of evidence. Okay, so I you see, the reason why I'm reading that way is because I sort of see where Godfred Dame is taking the matter. I am seeing Godfred Dame be the assembly ever, and he's a lawyer. I mean, whether we like it or not, he's an experienced lawyer, and you know, assembly or they fan. Now, what you Godfred Dame say more work? Or say Jakpa charger or they turn so say one no Godfred Dame wa fabricating evidence. Na yeka say fabrication of evidence na to say Godfred Dame e twantro e de akwa koto court nim na nkopɛ sɛ enam santro no eso Emma yedechi ebia wono Godfred Dame ene ato forcing, right? And Godfred Dame ka say ono no ntwantro bia in the first place evidence yes wono wa fabricate no hu hwe nti onim ade a ye ka ho asem in the first place onhu evidence bia wa fabricate. He has not seen any piece of evidence ono was say ya wa fabricate. What you say now osanso ka say si ye ka say wo bia fabricate evidence in the first place, no. It entails say, I mean, Brunica said something entails, and actually say adie no, senya ye no. Inti se waka se obia a fabricate evidence, senya ye fabricate evidence no. Etre say adie bi ensi. Nanso odi adie na akọ court, e de akọ akọ se adie no esi ye. Eno ne ye ka se wa fabricate evidence. No ni case Jakpa di abeyi. Bibie ni wa obeka se o ade we ensi e na meme di akokota akwa sa ade we esi. Inti no se oba be bond se no fabrication of we are evidence ono di onim de woka. Inti Godfred Dame se mo waka no wati ase. Aha. Inti no say ye ka say or forge dabi ye ka say fabrication of we are not say what forge documents be evidence be trial dabi or no there say no be science inti no ye ntumi mfa mbone so say wa fabricate into say bibie ni wa ya edru sa level no. He revealed that the so-called evidence relied upon by Jakpa was a secret recording of a telephone conversation between himself and me on 26 March 2024. It was say evidence that Godfred Jakpa can say ma fabricating a phone conversation be a meneno have here, and I mean we've all heard that phone conversation. To otremwa a phone conversation be a meneno have here, and a walker say ani and no evidence. I say however Dame clarified that the telephone conversation actually took place on 9th April 2024 and not 26th March 2024 as he alleges. Inti Godfred Dame someone can say Jakpa address phone conversation no 26th March 2024. Now so phone conversation no 9th April and amenene year. That is he's confirming said there is a phone conversation but date no we inti what I say American no Godfred Dame is a lawyer. Inti he's taking the matter and he's taking it apart. What you say? Akwa say I mean, this is what I tell people say lawyers will understand this. Say in cases ever court, it is not about, sometimes it's not about whether the person did it or not. Sometimes it is about the charge na ye debo nipa kro ne so no. Inti yemfa ne say obi ekwa kokun obi, right? Bakuna wokun nipa kro no yemfa ne say eye accident. Okay? Wan sheda na bia ye de kotu nipa kro ne so say wa commit murder. Murder ne tre say premeditated wodwen ho na wokum nipa kro no. But say one year ho na efemu na nipa ko no wu ya eno ebetumi the charge about say ebia manslaughter. Enti say yakwa charge nipa ko no say murder ezan say nipa kro no eye mistake ene nam so ma nipa ko no wu ya nti no ne lawyers no ebetumi atwi charge no no matter say da be charge aye de bono no enye murder onkun nipa ase senya make what say because we understand murder ne say wa bopo ene we kun no but nipa ko ne wudie na so wan bopo na enti no court no betumi agina so ne aka so okay nipa ko no ye gyan no but na interest wo nkun nipa o indeed we kun nipa but charge aye de bono no ene ye wrong charge. Enti me hu ne say that is the angle Godfred Dame wants to take. Because a person say yes, okay, there was a phone conversation in some course, but Jakpa charge or person the bomb no, and yeah no, Jakpa person say me ma forge document, ma forge evidence. Do you see no, and yeah forgery of evidence. You understand the angle he's taking it. That's what I'm saying. Say yes, aside everything else, he's a lawyer with experience. So, and also this side I will argue no. And then another one I walk say phone conversation I almost see a course so crano. 9th April. But Jakpa say 26th March. Media mean kai phone conversation be a menene have 26th March. What you say? So he's taking the matters apart. But send America no, we will all see what will come out of this in court. I say I am unable to respond to an allegation based on a conversation that never occurred. Into say what? Into no say one no dear or kai say one Jakpa conversation on 9th April. Now so say Jakpa ba no okasa menene kasa 26th March. Media men kai say 26th March menene kasa bia enti media mean to mean kan ho asem. So you see where asem no odefa. Yes. Now see Dame explained that by the time of the said phone conversation, the prosecution had long filed and made available to the defense and even tendered in evidence all the documents it sought to rely on. He emphasized that the documents had been filed as early as 14 February 2022 and that the High Court had already ruled that a prima facie case had been established against the accused persons on 30th March 2023. Also by then, the first accused, Dr. Atoforsen, had closed his case, while the second accused's case had been discontinued due to ill health. According to Dame, the only accused person left was Richard Jakpa, who was in the process of testifying. He opened his defense by himself after firing his lawyer, Obin. The former Auditor General insisted that he called Jakpa merely to discuss the possibility of adjourning proceedings for that day, since I had to finish preparations for an international arbitration hearing in London. He added, I will produce evidence of this as well. In the course of the discussion, he revived his disagreement over the meaning of the contract in question and the implications of using letters of credit as payment for the ambulances, which were proven to be unfit for purpose. Inti Godfred Dame tre recording ni musisia what say recording na Jakpa krapa so we use to no. Me crampo de na enye bonesa. That's what Godfred Dame is saying today. Because me no na Ghana case bi wo ho a wo land na e wo se me kokodi. Inti na me ne Jakpa case no. Enya dia metumi aba court. Inti na me ne Jakpa kra akasa so that ye be hu say esen ye be ye na case ne ya agene. Inti me kodi landing case ne ba na ya tua case ne so. Inti me friend na akasa asem na kire no. Ena ekokoba say kasa ene nkomo ekofa contract ni bibia ba ya ye di hu nkomo a ende Jakpa peso yusu tiame. That's what Godfred Dame is saying. It's Godfred Dame's way. Ye ni na ye tie recording ne de. But Godfred Dame say mo a work no. And clearly no, for me, recording na metie and then someone na Godfred Dame can there. Sa explanation a woman say no, it didn't look so for me. And I'm just going to tell you the truth. It didn't look so for me. But it's up to the court to decide. It was say no fabrication, just resentment. Not to say fabrication be any on fabricated she na eyotan hunu. Obronika se bibi resentment not to say otan hunu kwa. Osedame described Jakpa's complaint as one born out of personal frustration. The person say Jakpa complain ya wo complaining and Jakpa dia wo dia ba beto CID for enemy. I say Jakpa no personal ade personal bi ase ono ano wa frustrate Bronika so bia frustrate a say asem na hye ne so ase ogye ne ho enje ati ase e na Jakpa no person de ball no Godfred Dame ne so. He said this complaint by Richard Jakpa is just sour grapes. He felt aggrieved by my refusal to yield to his representations in those meetings with Justice Kulendi for me to discontinue his prosecution. So say, we know a yaobi ena Richard Jakpa no ODH because embra case ne koso Jakpa no emma nebusuani Kulendi se na nka men drop case no nanso man pene nti eno ho yaw ena still Jakpa person odidi mechi. Osedame further alleged that the first accused, Dr. Keselato Fosin, personally visited his residence in 2023 to make representations and impress upon me to stop his prosecution. This I refuse to oblige. Godfred Dame tremubium say Ato Fosin krano eba ni fie ono dame ni fie 2023. Say na nko onye na on drop case no nanso we fee. And I remember said this is not the first time we are hearing this. Embra case ne koso ne yete Emma, I think said there was a refusal from Ato Fosin's camp. Our motor said Godfred Dame someone work and intros. I don't know. But Godfred Dame is still saying that. Osedame confirmed that all his encounters with Jakpa occurred either in open court or at the home of Supreme Court Justice Yoni Kulendi, whom he described as a respected senior colleague for many years, even before his appointment to the Supreme Court. So trese wono no kasa bia woni Jakpa kasa ye no ida so wo mo kasa ye ewo Supreme Court ho ana say Yoni Kulendi fie no mo hia no mo di nkomo. He stated the fact remains that there would have been no damage Jakpa without Justice Kulendi. And I'm beginning to also notice something here. It looks like Godfred Dame wants to drag in Justice Kulendi, and maybe it might be coming from get to talk on incense. No, I don't know, but I feel like maybe it might be coming from there because it looks like Godfred Dame person ya not dragging Justice Kulendi in because so here we obobo di case ne ba no first no see Supreme Court judge omo be so mbebo ni di ba here Godfred Dame threat nsem no mu obo Kulendi din ene ye share Kulendi fie eno ye we ati ase. And I mean, because Justice Kulendi, one of the judges, get to talk on no course, say, Mayen Yino, free honor. Justice Kulendi, bonsem niguye. And I himself, Godfred Dame was representing get to talk on. So it looks like Godfred Dame, for me, and someone walk on, and idea all trot was here. It feels like, I say, I want to Kulendi me the name count. Because I don't think it's a CID case, no. Nanka ya about Justice Kulendi, between Onone Jakpa. Ba utie de work kan sisi ana ane na kenye Justice Kulendi krana na nko no onkonko hia Jakpa wo bebia nti ende se Jakpa e de intro e beto no so asa na work kan Jakpa de intro beto no so dia na no Kulendi kan ho. Basically that's what Godfred Dame is saying. I say he emphasized that his visits to the judge's residence were out of respect, noting it is inconceivable for a lawyer, more so the Attorney General, to refuse invitations by a justice of the Supreme Court to visit or to decline to give him audience when requested. It was say, ono de Kulendi no ni senior. Se Kulendi friend say wombra ne fia, ontumi nka se wonko. However, he maintained that he did not reasonably think that honoring invitations to his residence would entail any danger or prejudice, and that he maintained independence of thought on all issues discussed in Justice Kulendi's house, including matters related to Richard Jakpe's prosecution. Dame stressed that Jakpe's allegations were not only false, but had already been judicially considered and pronounced upon by the High Court Accra. Citing pages 24, 31, and 32 of the High Court ruling delivered on June 6, 2024, by Justice Efia Sewa Asari-Botwe, he quoted, "After listening to the conversation between A3 and A1, the issue of whether the Attorney General actually told A3 to complicate A1 is not borne out by the evidence. The declaration that A3 was innocent and going through an ordeal was not made by the Attorney General, but by A3, to which the Attorney General responded at minute 10:20, I am not asking you to help me." He added that the court further concluded, after listening to the recording, there is no actual evidence that Attorney General as the prosecutor behaved in such an egregious manner that the first accused applicant's right to a fair trial is in jeopardy. Dame argued that the CID lacked jurisdiction to reinvestigate matters already determined by a court of competent jurisdiction. Godfred Dame semu a waka ne say case we akwa kopie mu e wo court ewie because semu nyamo ka emra na asem ne koso no, the tape was tendered in, right? What was the case? No, I don't know whether is the right English I used. Was it tendered in or turned in? I don't know. If I'm wrong, move on. But case no, right? Godfred Dame edit to judge and our case no, yeah, the to judge name as evidence. It's Godfred Dame someone can say, judge no, in that case, I explain it. So no judge ni tie assembly there. One say na ye twa try to forcing so or say judge na kan it is a judge na ma ruling on the tape no area CID mu ni hu kwan say and the mo baba be use that tape no it say mo de baba chime because a judge of competence a jurisdiction am a ruling on that matter already. So that's what Godfred Dame is saying, right? And let's see how it goes. Because there are lawyers who will agree and there are lawyers who will also not agree. Okay? It will say, the instant complaint seeks to relitigate issues already adjudicated upon by the High Court, Accra, in respect of which there is no appeal. The matters in issue have become res judicata. Also detailing his limited engagement with a businessman, the former Attorney General stated, "I have never met Richard Jakpe anywhere, apart from inside the courtroom and the residence of a justice of the Supreme Court, His Lordship Justice Yoni Kulendi." He explained that their first interaction occurred on 18th January 2022, when Justice Kulendi visited his office after Jakpe's arraignment to plead for the accused temporary release pending bail verification, a request he granted out of respect for the judge. He noted that Jakpe later obtained his number from Justice Kulendi and sent him 68 WhatsApp messages, to which he replied only twice, a fact Jakpe himself admitted in court. Dame concluded, in light of the above, I say that the allegation of fabrication of evidence is totally baseless and springs only from the fertile imagination of Richard Jakpe. He maintained that his only motive in calling Jakpe on 9th April 2024 was procedural, related to an adjournment request before leaving for an arbitration hearing in London, one which Ghana ultimately won. So that is Godfred Dame okopie ewo CID enim no. And someone walk on no. Quite interesting, right? Let's see how this goes. Let's see. Yenhwe send yansem no beko. Montre mo adwen e comment box ni mo medase.